You guys want some information about best ball? Let's go over some wide receivers that you should be targeting in your drafts. Let's get it. So we're not going to start this video talking about all the guys that you should be drafting in the first round. We're talking about, Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp. We're not going to do that, right? We're going to talk about some wide receivers that you can get early to mid rounds. And as well, at the end of the video, we'll go over some guys that you can get towards the end of the draft or possibly even not even drafted, and kind of give you some diamonds in the rough that you can use for your best ball leagues. So the first guy that we're going to go over is a wide receiver from the Chargers, and Mike Williams. Mike Williams is a big body receiver who loves to catch touchdowns. And when I'm playing best ball, I want touchdowns. This guy can help you produce solid fantasy numbers week in and week out, catching you a couple of touchdown passes here or there. He's not really a possession receiver. That's more of Keenan Allen's type, but he's got Justin Herbert throwing the ball, and he loves to throw the ball, right? Mike Williams, huge target in the red zone. He's going to produce numbers every single week for you, and it's going to be something that he came on last season, started to produce. People are starting to be aware of him. His ADP is a little higher right now, probably in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, but try to snag him up if you really like Mike Williams. I think he's going to do wonders for your fantasy team. He's somebody that you really need to keep an eye on, and pretend that everybody's going to draft this Keenan Allen first, but there's an actuality there that Mike Williams could outproduce Keenan Allen this year, and I wouldn't be surprised. So the second guy that we're going to talk about today is T. Higgins. I believe sometimes starting last year, T. Higgins is kind of a guy that is almost the forgotten man. He produces at a very high level. He had 1,000 yards receiving last year as a wide receiver too. Jamar Chase came in there and pretty much everybody's like, I'm not going to touch T. Higgins anymore. He's not going to produce, but he proved a lot of people wrong last year. He's a big receiver, very tall receiver, and he's got great hands. He catches the ball over the middle. He can go on the outside and play. I drafted him on his rookie season, and he did great. Nobody even knew about him. I drafted towards the end of my draft, and he produced solid numbers. He has a great rapport with Joe Burrow, and now with Jamar Chase in the building, he doesn't have as much double coverage over his side anymore. He's got Jamar Chase taking it all away. So it just produces for Higgins to be on your team. In best ball, you want somebody that's going to consistently produce for you. And I think Higgins can give you good weeks. And sometimes he can even give you 150 yards receiving it in a week, because it could be Higgins' week and Jamar Chase just didn't have a good week. And Burrow's just hyper-focusing, T. Higgins. That's somebody you need to play in fantasy football and in best ball. Look for those people who are dominating and who can put those numbers way up there for you to kind of set yourself apart. In best ball, you need to score as many points as possible and give yourself the opportunity to have those boom weeks. With T. Higgins, you're going to be able to have those boom weeks. The Bengals have a very high-powered offense, and more likely than not, T. Higgins is going to be a part of that offense. Now, the third person I'm going to go over, which I don't know if I've mentioned in many of my videos, but I'm going to go over with Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson was the number 1 wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. He was a little disgruntled. I think it was mostly Justin Fields. It just hasn't produced yet, and he wasn't getting the ball between him and Andy Dalton. Now he moves over to Matthew Stafford over with the Rams. He's got Cooper Kupp on the outside, so he doesn't have to be the number 1. Everywhere Allen Robinson has been in his career, whether it been Jacksonville Jaguars or the Chicago Bears, he was depended on to be the number 1 guy. This is the first time he's going to be put in a situation where he doesn't have to be the number 1 guy. So now he can just sit back, don't get the best cornerback all the time. He can play underneath, he can play the outside. He's a very good, spectacular catch type of guy. He can catch it with one hand, he can catch it with 2 hands, and now having an accurate quarterback. This is literally the best quarterback he's played with. He's either had Blake Bortles at quarterback, Justin Fields, or Andy Dalton. I mean, give this guy a break. He's a good wide receiver, and he finally has a quarterback that can get him the ball. So now with an outstanding defense, they've got a team, they've got an offense, very potent offense that they can go and just sling the ball everywhere. Allen Robinson can give you those boom weeks for best ball, which is what you're looking for. Now let's go over some of these guys that you can get towards the end of your draft. Somebody you may not even be thinking about, and that's actually, surprisingly, Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton is a receiver that I've been seeing slipping way late in the draft. We're talking about 7th and 8th round. I'm like, why is this guy going so late? Nobody really knows who's going to be the main benefactor for Russell Wilson coming over from Seattle, but I think it's Courtland Sutton. I've seen in many drafts where Jerry Jeudy's actually being drafted ahead of Courtland Sutton, and I think that's a mistake. Courtland Sutton has the intangibles to be a dominant receiver. Think about what happened to the Denver Broncos when Peyton Manning came over and Demaryius Thomas all of a sudden became the man. You had Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker and all these guys. It's the same thing. It's like it's almost Groundhog Day. Now, I'm not saying by any means Russell Wilson is Peyton Manning, because that would just be blasphemous. But Russell Wilson is a dang good fantasy quarterback, and he can help you produce. Courtland Sutton is somebody that I believe he's going to be the focal point of the offense. I think Jerry Jeudy's the more in-and-out guy. Courtland Sutton's going to be a guy going over the top, getting the touchdowns, and somebody they're looking for in the end zone. Other receivers, like Tim Patrick, I really like that guy too. But it's one of those things. I think Courtland Sutton just sets itself apart from the pack. The offense is going to be very good. They have a double-headed monster at running back. You get Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. I think there's not going to be a lot of huge safeties back, coverage, cover two, anything like that. They're going to have to be stacking the box a little bit because, number one, they're going to be worried for Russell Wilson running the ball. Number two, they're going to be worried about the running backs running the ball out of the backfield. It's going to be a potent offense. I think Courtland Sutton's going to get a lot of one-on-one coverage on the outside, and I think he's going to be able to beat that. And that's another thing that you want to look at for best ball leagues. You want to look at opportunities, right? And Courtland Sutton has the opportunity. He's somebody you can get later in the draft and somebody who could pay huge dividends. I wouldn't even be mad if Courtland Sutton was your wide receiver 1 on your team. That's how confident I am in Courtland Sutton. So now let's go over to the next guy. And I'm going to talk about Russell Gage. Russell Gage is somebody who played for Atlanta. He actually played really good for Atlanta, and they were terrible. He got a phone call from Tom Brady asking him, hey, come and play with me, man. I really need you. I think it's going to be huge. Now, he's going to be kind of taking the Antonio Brown role. Antonio Brown actually did really well when he wanted to play. Russell Gage can produce, right? And not only that, think about Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin got hurt kind of later in the league, so he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. I strongly don't think he'll be ready for the start of the season. So Russell Gage will actually be the wide receiver 2 to begin the season, which gives him ample amount of opportunities to build ultimate rapport with Tom Brady. Once you get a rapport with Tom Brady, who knows? Russell Gage could be the Wes Welker of this offense and produce a crazy amount of fantasy numbers. He could be a breakout candidate for this year if he plays his card right. You have one of the best offenses in football. You have one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game. And then you got Russell Gage, a nice possession receiver who knows how to run routes, and he's reliable. You need reliability when you play in best ball. You need reliability when you're playing Tom Brady. Russell Gage checks both those boxes. Get Russell Gage towards the middle to end of your draft. You'll be happy you did. Now, the last guy we're going to talk about today is somebody that maybe might be off a lot of people's radars, but that's going to be DeVante Parker. DeVante Parker comes over from Miami over to New England. Now, Mac Jones finally has a true number 1 wide receiver. People are like, well, what about Jacoby Myers? Really? Stop. Just don't. DeVante Parker, he's a good wide receiver. He had some injury troubles, and a lot of fantasy owners probably hate him for that, but he has a lot of opportunity right now with the Patriots. They're going to use him as the number 1 bona fide guy. They're going to throw him the ball quite a bit, and I think there's going to be some fireworks down in the Patriotville there. Mac Jones has somebody that he can truly depend on. I think last year, having the receivers that he did, it just kind of was, I don't know if I want to throw the ball. You kind of use his tight ends where Hunter Henry and such like that, but DeVante Parker gives him a wide receiver that he can trust and somebody he can go out and sling the ball to. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if DeVante Parker was anywhere between 80 to 100 yards a game and getting you a touchdown. He's dynamic, he's fast, he has good hands. He's somebody that can do really good for you. Now, as always, I appreciate you for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Most people that watch these videos aren't even subscribed, so I'd appreciate that click. I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. We'll see you guys next time.